Good afternoon, Jordan. How are you, Jordan?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Finally, I'm happy to finally get together. And talk about a city that I've only been to once, but it's a city that I love. And I'm very excited to hear about Memphis. And the goal of the session is to help our students understand the appeal to Memphis, why investors go there. I know you have investors not only from around Memphis, but really all over the US. Before we start talking about Memphis, tell me a drop about Jordan Ray, about you. And I know that I don't know, only work with investors or primarily.
So yeah, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis greater area. I love investment properties. Actually, the reason I got my real estate license was because I was an investor first, and I wanted to get into this business full time. I got my real estate license, and I've heard this saying, "Riches are in the niches." And so it's one of those things. I focus on investment property, pretty much only investment property. Now, I'll tell you when it comes to a seller, I do work with sellers that aren't investors, which is fine. And then if they need to buy another house, then it really just depends on the situation. If they're a friend, like I got a friend from high school, I'm not going to turn down my friend from high school. So I'm helping him do a sell and a buy right now. But other than that, it's pretty much mostly investors. Anybody else, it's like, first time home buyer or something like that. I usually refer them out either to an
Really?
agent.
So if yeah, so you say even if business comes your way, you're super
Yeah.
focused on the investors.
Yeah. And
Why
it's
is
just
that?
'cause I've got such a system, built out around it, and I just don't have time, like, even one first-time home buyer could I could lose out on, like, you know, 6 to 10 investors. So I focus, solely on investors and just, just putting everything I've got into that, especially for the buy side, and it just allows me to give the service that's needed, especially out-of-state investors, man. Out-of-state investors are more common than even the local investors in our market, and for good reason. I mean, Memphis has a lot of cash flow, and so I put myself out there as the boots on the ground agent, the guy that's easy to reach. I've literally built built my business off of investors. So yeah, the moment that I take a first time home buyer and I'm showing them, houses for an entire afternoon, I mean, I've just lost out on connecting with several of my clients that are looking
Yeah.
for investment property throughout the day. So yeah,
And
I
maybe
don't.
even maybe their second property. I'm sure you had repeat investors.
Yeah. Most of them are repeats. In fact, I've get a lot of them. Investors are very commonly doing non-exclusive agreements where, they work with several agents at a time, which is fine. I have no problem with it. But I will find that occasionally investors are actually more inclined to wanna do an exclusive agreement later on because of the quality of service that I'm giving to my clients, and a lot of 'em are repeat clients. They do one transaction with me, they just keep coming back. I try to I built my business around this idea that I like to be the guy that you can't invest in Memphis without. So that's my
Mhm.
focus. And so, and obviously, if I'm dead and gone one day, then then that's a whole nother thing. But then it's just right back to the way investors would invest. But you like to give that sort of service to the people who work with me.
Yeah, like you said, homeowners are tricky. You could be
Yeah.
with them one afternoon, and that's not the last time. That's the first time you meet with them. And then homeowners also they look at silly things. I was
Yeah.
talking to a family member looking for a primary residence recently, and they were asking really silly questions.
Yeah.
Like, well, the house was built in 1950, so it's an older house. I'm like, dude, the systems are fine, and if they're not, just put a number on it. The furnace, it's an old furnace. You're looking for a place to live. The furnace, a few $1,000s. Just put a price. Just let's do numbers. Numbers are very simple.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And, when I do a lot of listings. I've got 25 active right now. And when I get offers from homeowners that are, they're gonna be owner occupants, and they'll back out over something silly like the seller won't pay for a home warranty. But an investor, they don't care for all that. They just want their numbers to work.
Yeah.
And so a huge difference. And I actually tell my investors to focus on their investing as if they're running a business. At the end of the day, if you're buying an investment property and it doesn't cash flow, you're not running a business. You're
Yeah.
buying a bad deal.
I say the same thing that when you buy one property, your first property, if that's all you have, That's a business. You bought a business.
Yep.
It's a business. Somebody reached out to me yesterday, has a portfolio of homes, and they're all failing. That's very scary. Portfolio, over $1 million worth of homes, and it's not making money. He bought them. It sounded exciting, and of course, someone promised him best management, best deals. He didn't know anything, and now he's stuck with a big problem.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and you'll see that a lot with, like, turnkey companies. I'm not gonna name any names, but we have several of them right here in Memphis, and they'll inflate their pro forma numbers, but when it comes down to actually owning the property and you have tenant maintenance and you have all these things come up, then it kills your numbers quickly. On the flip side of that, if you are, owning a bunch of if you're taking I do see this from time to time, you get investors that focus on, like, buying for appreciation. They don't really care about cash flow. I think it's a bad idea in the Memphis market. I mean, there's some exceptions, but I don't think it's a good idea, especially for somebody who it's their first investment property. Now, maybe if you've got 30 properties, that might be a good idea, and you buy a property in a high-end area that's, gonna have a sustainable tenant, probably stay there long term. But yeah, like, definitely focus on cash flow.
you said cash flow, but is there an area that's kind of like a balance between cash flow but also appreciation?
Several of them, even in some of the worst parts in Memphis are still appreciating. I mean, I've got a property in a zip code that I would say is not even really the best zip code, but I don't take it off of my buy box because, I mean, I like the area. I like the properties that you can find out there, and then tenants like the area too still too. The rents are a little lower, but I've got a property, it's, 38109, and this is not necessarily, like, one of the best zip codes, but I bought this property in 2022, I think it was. I wanna say it was middle of 2022, and I paid 125 for it. I bought it as a turnkey purchase. I didn't do a BRRRR on it, and it's already worth, like, 155.
Just
Yeah,
pricing,
it's
really.
it's appreciated, and it's, like, the worst part of Memphis. I'm talking the street this house is on has got an arsonist. Well, I think they call it the arsonist now, but they were burning houses.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's just like, but Imma tell you, man, this property.
I've heard of arsonist. I've never heard of like, oh yeah, an arsonist lives there. No, a known arsonist.
Yeah, they knew the arsonist, and yeah, they just couldn't catch, him or her. I guess there was a team, like a husband and wife arsonist team. It's so crazy. It's just the craziest thing. But dude, that property, regardless of that fact, has made me money. It's cash flowed at least 1,500 bucks every single month. I've actually never had a vacancy on the house, and it's great. I had one tenant, move in, like, almost as soon as I closed on the house. And when that tenant moved out, I found another tenant within, like, a few days, and they were a perfect tenant. They've actually been staying there for like, 3 years now and have never missed a payment. So
Amazing.
it's been a solid property, and, at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. And I tell people, don't necessarily, like, pass on a property if it's in a obviously, we wanna focus on trying to find properties that are in decent areas, but if it still meets your numbers, that's another thing too. And this is, once you get a little bit more savvy, and this was my first property, so I've got a lot of experience off of that one. You don't necessarily have to focus too hard on location, as long as the numbers, work, as long as it rents. And then it's not more of a question of location. It's more of a question, will this property make me money? And so this property has made me money. Could I have bought this property, today at 125 and it made me money? I don't know. But, it's just, it's had the same tenant in there, it's done really well.
So, in terms of the properties you sell in Memphis, are most of your investors putting Section 8 tenants there? Are they cash tenants?
Yeah, it's a mixture. There is a large, tenant base of Section 8 in Memphis right now. The, MHA is doing some restructuring, and I still actually need to catch up on this. They actually changed it to where the rent is now gonna be confirmed after the tenant applies for the property, which is a new thing. Because used to, they would approach the property manager with a voucher, and this just changed. Like, this happened, a couple months ago. I still gotta read up on it and figure out what's going on. But now I think the MHA is probably trying to reduce their rent, that Section 8 pays per zip code. It is commonly known that Section 8 pays more than cash tenants, but that's gonna be an issue because if that happens, people are no longer gonna wanna rent to Section 8. and then the market rents are going to go down, and then the MHA is going to go out of business because they're not going to have. It's just
Yes.
the way that it's works, but it's just what they're trying to do right now. So, but to answer your question, yeah, it's just a mixture, cash, tenants, and Section 8. Really depends on the location too. I've noticed like 38128, for example. 38128 Raleigh. You actually get some pretty high rents in 38128. And it's pretty pocketed over there too. But you'll find that it's mostly cash tenants that rent in that zip code. But if you
Mm.
go somewhere like 38114, which is mostly Orange Mound, you'll notice there's mostly Section 8 over there. And so it just really kind of depends on where you are as well.
Yeah. So can you, I wonder if you can sort of walk through some of your listings, maybe by the area, just so we can understand if they've never been to Memphis, like myself, never been to looking at real estate. We want to understand what are the different zip codes, where would you start, and then where would you sort of end up? Where are you ideally looking for properties,
Mhm.
and where are zip codes that work, but they're at the bottom of the list? Before we get to your properties, what is the average price point for an entry level rental in Memphis?
Depends on what you're doing. If you're buying them as a BRRRR, then you're going to be looking like between 70,000 and 25,000 for the best opportunities. And then if you're buying them turnkey, then anywhere from 150 to 175.
As an agent who works primarily with investors,
Mhm.
how do you know how to price your properties? When you, let's say, I have a house in Memphis I want to sell, and you're the investor guy, you're only selling to investors. How do you price it in a way that gets me, the seller, the most money, but also is attractive for a investor?
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So basically, if I'm the listing agent on an investment property,
Because you're the listing agent on a property, your goal is to get the most money possible for
absolutely, yeah,
the seller, right?
absolutely.
But investors, you're an investor.
Sure.
Investors come and they lowball. They try it, right?
Right.
See if it works. So how does that work? Because you don't want those lowball offers for your seller.
Mhm. So yeah, it works in kind of a couple different ways. It really just depends on location and like, the type of property and like the amount of rents that could be received. There's several factors, but I would actually take two approaches to this. One is if I'm the listing agent selling to investors, and then the other approach would be if I'm selling my investor's property as a flip, how am I going to know how to price it for the homeowner? Because there's several factors there. For the first part of it, for the investors, you've got to price it where it's like ARV, times 75% minus repairs. How am I going to come up with the ARV? Super
Yeah.
simple. Just check comps, just doing a CMA. And I'm usually just using comps in the area that have sold retail. They've sold, they're
Yeah.
not fixer uppers. You're finding that after repair value. And then to figure out like how much things cost for a renovation, that's the other thing that comes with my experience of it as an investor, doing my own deals and also working with clients, going through several properties and estimating renovations, not even as a contractor, but also working with contractors. So I kind of get used to what costs look like based on square footage and like how much work's needed. And then also being able to break that down to the seller and helping them understand how I got these numbers to then price the property. Now, I will say that if I'm the listing agent, sometimes I'll price the property uh, just with these 80% to 75% minus repairs model, and I might even minimalize on repairs a little bit than I would conservatively if I was the buyer's agent. And the reason I do that is because people will come in, they'll lowball, or you will every once in a while have times where the buyers will come in and you'll have some of them they actually they can keep their costs down, and so they'll be willing to pay more for a property. And so that happens too. If you get in a multiple offer situation, that happens as well. I've got several occasions where I've sold
Yeah.
properties that shouldn't have even been sold at the price that it was sold at, but I was representing the seller, trying to help them get the most for their money.
Yeah. So, but you sort of go with the model, the 70, 75%, 80%.
Yeah.
And that's the good, honest price, because if the work has to happen, either an investor's gonna do that work, or a homeowner's gonna have to do it and pay a real contractor, an expensive guy. And the bottom line is the market's the market, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so sort of walk us through maybe I don't know if you want to, follow the order of the map or the order of the most desirable area zip code.
So all these little dots here are my rental properties. Actually, yeah, these are my rental properties, and this one's Mississippi. I'm gonna focus on Memphis. So this one, let me. Here we go. We got our dots here.
These are ones that you're currently selling or that you own.
These are the ones that I own.
Okay.
And so this one right here is in 38109. That's that one I was talking about with you, and a
Mm,
great property. And then this one actually right here was my second property, and I did a BRRRR on this one. This is 38116, a pretty good area. And one of the great things about South Memphis, just these three properties right here. This one too, kind of gets a little bit from that, but it's doesn't get as much of a benefit as these 3 where they're located, but that's their location to DeSoto County, Mississippi. I don't know if you're familiar with DeSoto County and how it correlates with Memphis.
I'm not. No.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm gonna talk
And you
about
sell
that.
properties there. You sell properties there as well.
I do, yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually focus on Mississippi because this is something that I wish more investors out of state knew about. It adds to the market. So every once in a while, I'll get an investor, they'll ask me, they'll say, "Hey, why is the population declining in Memphis, and why should I invest in Memphis with that being a factor?" And the fact is that these people are not actually leaving the Memphis area. They're just going into Mississippi. And so you've got people who either they will still want to live in Memphis and then they'll go work in Mississippi, or you'll have people who live in Mississippi and then work in Memphis. And so it happens all the time. People want a better quality of life, so they sort of kind of move, out east, south, either south of the city, east of the city, or north of the city to kind of get away from everything that's in the center. Then you got a nice amount of population as well that still kind of fills back in. But the majority is kind of moving out, really outside this, like, you can kind of use the interstate line to draw that. Now there are some really good areas still within this, area here.
Which zip codes are the good zip codes in there?
Yeah, so I would just start back from where my properties are at to answer that
Okay.
question. But 38116, this one right here is in 38118. This one's in 38141. And funny enough, I actually just got done closing on this property today. So I'm purchasing this.
Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you.
And how much was that worth?
I bought this one for 145.
And what's
And
the rent?
it's gonna rent for like 1,600, and I'm putting 15,000 into it. And then this one right here is in 38122. This is Berkeley. It's a good area. And then this over here is 38128, and this one also 38128. And so all those are great zip codes. Also 38127, 38134, and 38135 in Bartlett. And you've got 38112 can actually be good in some places, 38104. But you'll see a lot, like Cooper Young in Midtown. Those 38104 zip codes, you'll typically find the price points be a little higher, but they're great for somebody who wants to come in and do like an Airbnb BRRRR situation where they do a BRRRR and then like do a
Airbnb. I have
Airbnb.
never heard of an Airbnb. Okay.
Yeah, Airbnb BRRRR is just a BRRRR with, the exit strategies to do a long-term rental, as a short-term rental. You're renting it out as a short-term rental. And then, which is actually I'm starting to see this pop up a little bit more. And then, you've got, East Memphis, like 38120, 38117. And then over here is, Orange Mound, that's 38114. And then some parts of 38111. 311 is a great zip code, by the way. It's right over here in the University of Memphis. I mean, University of Memphis is probably one of the most active zip codes in Memphis for buying and selling. And then it's, you got a lot of people moving out of the area, then moving into the area because of, obviously investing. And then you've got people renting in the area because they're going to the University of Memphis. And you can see a lot of long-term rentals here, but you can also find people renting like by the room. You see that a lot here too. But it doesn't really work great if you're out of state to do it that way. But just kind of putting that out there.
Why not?
Uh,
Improve the management. This makes it more complex.
yeah, because you'll find a lot of property managers don't do the by the room thing.
All right.
Uh, But here, I'm going to show you just a couple properties that I have listed, and these are my listings here. And so let's go.
Oh, wow. So these are affordable properties.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really good price point. So let's see. This is 118. That's 127.
And these look like, I mean, some of these houses are, 60s. Sunny Drive looks like an older home.
So Spotswood is 38111. This is actually Orange Mound part of 38111. And this one's an investment property currently rented for 12.95, and it's on month-to-month lease. So this is a perfect opportunity to either come in, purchase this property, and just let it rent for 12.95, and you buy it at 95,000 and just let it rent for 12.95 until the tenant moves out,
Yeah.
and then you can come in and renovate it and rent it back out at a higher market rent, or you can go ahead and kick the tenant out and expedite that and then increase the rent. Uh,
How long has the tenant been there for, you know?
I don't, and this one's actually tricky. It's a divorce situation.
Mm.
It's all the offers are having to be approved by a court. So
Yeah.
it made it difficult to sell this one, but it is a really good deal. It's an awesome property. It's just when people are making offers, it takes us a week to get a response. I've already found another property. So if you're interested in this one, give me a call. You have to wait a week, and then we'll get an approval, get this one under contract.
Okay.
Uh, the next
What are taxes like over here, Jordan?
Texas are pretty good, man. I mean, in most parts of Memphis, you're looking anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 in total taxes. Now, there are some nicer parts of town where it might get up to 2,000, but in most cases,
That's
2,000
that's
is
great.
like
That's great.
highest stuff. You get in the low 2,000s is the highest I've seen for taxes.
And the folks who live here are mostly working class,
Yeah, working class.
so not inner city Section 8. They
Well,
might have Section 8, but
you get that too. You get Section 8 for
okay.
sure. Yeah. But they're also working class. They just make a little bit less money. A lot of Section 8 tenants, they still work. Not all of them are just mooching off the government and not doing anything.
Yeah.
I actually don't even like if they're gonna just sit around and have a 100% voucher and not work, might be a little bit of a red flag. They might be there too often. Um, and then, I'll show you another property. This one was a hot property. I'll show this one. So I actually listed this one at 150,000. It was move-in ready, and it was mostly attractive to like your hard to approve first time home buyers. And so you had a lot of people who can't really increase their purchase price over 150 and they're trying to be a homeowner get attracted to this one. But this was priced for an investor as well. Like as an investment property, you could totally rent this out for like 1750 a month.
Really?
And yeah, yeah, and but I never got any investor offers. It was kinda interesting. But it's perfect. It's in 38134. It's a great zip code. It's close to Bartlett. It was actually right over the Bartlett line, and, it's a Bartlett zip code. And, so, you get literally you can get premium rents in that zip code. I mean, some of them can go as high as 2,000 a month. Don't think you can get 2,000 on this one, but I do think you can get like 1750.
I see you have some homes here that look like they are not optimal rental properties.
Most of these are actually either flips, or they're being sold by investors who are liquidating. This one right here,
That's not a rental property, right?
yeah, and it never was. This one's a homeowner, but they are investors. They lived in this one. And so this one right here is a flip. This one right here is an investment property. And this one right here is actually the one I was talking about. My friend from school, he's selling his property so he can buy another one. This one is a foreclosure, and so
Oh,
I do a lot of foreclosures, and I just so happens to get some really nice properties, in
and that's
foreclosure.
bought by a homeowner.
Yeah, but it's bought by a homeowner, definitely not an investment
Yeah.
property. Investment property, this one's an investment property, and, this one could go either way. This one is definitely an investment property. This one's a triplex. Yeah, and so this one's, 375. It just so happens when you get into multifamily, your price point goes up. But this one's really good too. And then you've got this one right here. This is a duplex. So this one's also an investment property.
And what would those units rent for?
So the duplex one, you could probably get 1,000 a side on that one. It's
That's
also got one bath on each side. So it's not going to be extremely high rents. But if you look
yeah.
at it, I mean, you get 2,000 in gross rents every month. So, uh, and then this one right here, this one's an investment property. It's currently got a Section 8 tenant in it. That's actually 100% Section 8 paid tenant. And I'll
Looks like newer construction over there.
no,
Well, no,
yeah,
when I say newer, I mean, 60 plus.
yeah, yeah. Well, this one's built in 1971.
Yeah.
And but it's funny
I
because
guess
I actually
where I
helped.
come from, I feel like when I say newer, when I think I live in Detroit, so a lot of the um, more affordable rentals, may be built in 1940. I had a house built in 1915.
Oh
You
wow.
guys, sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but
Well, but yeah, so I totally get what you're saying, but it's funny, I actually helped the guy, purchase this property as an investment property, and I helped him rent it. I don't do rentals anymore, I usually refer that out to a property manager, but I did rent this property. I did put the tenant in there, and so it's whenever I put the property up for rent, I did use these photos and had it virtually staged. I just find that professional photography and, even virtual staging, it attracts tenants because they can visualize the space. You gotta imagine the mindset behind these people. They're not really creative. That's why they're not business owners. That's why they're not homeowners. And so you gotta help them visualize what they're gonna be living in. And so this is perfect for that virtual staging. That's a fake fridge, and
mm.
awesome. And so, anyways, yeah, this is 100% paid Section 8 tenant on this one.
But it seems like many of these houses may not have basements. Is that right?
Yeah, there's hardly any of them, but with basements.
Is
You're
that
gonna
Memphis
find
right?
you're gonna find them with basements, but they're in your, historical districts, and the homes are older, and they are built in 1915, 1920, like you mentioned, but I don't typically recommend to buy that old because, when you start buying properties that are almost 100 years old, you're gonna have a lot of problems. And on top of that, if you go and renovate these properties, there's special permits that you need from the city. That's just an added step, an added cost, and it just makes things really hard to do
Yeah.
correctly. And then if you don't do it correctly, then you get stop loss orders. You're in a higher price point. Your rehabs are higher, so your interest payments are going to be higher, and then now you're just losing. Uh, and so, unless you just really understand these historical properties, I typically recommend to stay away from them, especially for first time investors. This one right here, 1818 Vault, this is actually in South Haven, and this is in Mississippi. And this one's an investment property, a foreclosure, but it can be bought as an investment property. It just so happens this one's overpriced, and I'll just be honest with you. That one's being sold by a bank, and they're
What's
unwilling.
the zip code there?
That one's 38671. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think it would take to close on this deal?
Well, the seller needs to come off the price, but you really need to buy this thing at like 70, 80K, put 35 into it, and then it'll appraise for like 150 to 160. And this would be a
Sure.
perfect purse situation if you could do it that way.
Yeah. So he needs a new roof. Oh yeah.
It needs everything.
Yeah.
So this one's a homeowner. It's actually a foreclosure as well. This one's a flip, and then this one's a flip as well. This is actually Simcha's property. I know you know Simcha, and this property is awesome. By the way, I'm just really surprised that it hasn't sold yet. But look at this, and this was a twin level home. It's on a lake, and a
Beautiful.
lot of yeah. And look at this,
Mhm.
awesome house, nice hardwood floors, newly renovated kitchen. Most of the complaints from people is steep driveway and small bedrooms. Other than that, it's a great house.
Yeah, that's virtual staging right there. Yeah.
Yeah, virtual staging. So I even virtually staged a kids room, so you can see like people who have kids, they can visualize
Mhm.
where their kids are going to sleep. So yeah, this great property, and then this is actually real furniture. This Wick furniture.
Uh-huh.
I told Cincha,
We
hey,
should
let's put some Wick furniture here.
yeah, maybe we should clean up that patio. Maybe.
This right here,
Yeah,
uh,
maybe paint it.
we pressure washed it. We definitely could have done a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just for the budget we had, that's where we were. So we got the Wick furniture here to kind of help look past that for homeowners to get them to focus
Mhm.
on. on the wick furniture instead of
Yeah.
the security patio. uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, see, it's right there on the
Beautiful
lake.
property, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then it got some really good aerial views, and then even a drone shot
Waterfront.
further
Yeah.
on, bro. Lake. So then there is some, and I do this for flips, by the way. So, and then this one right here has got, a tricky floor plan. It's really hard to visualize from the pictures. So, put, you know, uh, staged
Entrance.
in the
Yeah.
photo. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And then,
Beautiful.
oh yeah. And then right here, this one is an investor selling his property. Uh, this actually in 38111 that zip code I was talking about. Great property. So this is a little bit older.
Yeah.
I show what this looks like. Look at those floors, man. That's the thing that pops
Yeah.
out the most. That is typically what you see.
And why is the guy selling it? Had a hard time managing it, renting it, or
Oh, it's under contract. It's said to close very soon. Yeah. And then this one was built in 1927. So that's pretty old. The bungalow.
Mhm.
And then I'll go a little further. Here's another one of Simcha's properties. So Simcha, I'm just going to be honest with you. Simcha did not buy this property with me. And this is a great property, but he could have done better on this one. And so this one, I think he bought it intentionally as a BRRRR, and he could never get it rented. And then we're having a hard time selling this property too, just because of where it's located. And it's
Mhm.
not located in a bad area at all. It's just that people, when they're buying in this price point, so this one's 234.9. When they're buying in this price point, typically looking at some other parts of Memphis, things that are like closer to, more developed or more areas that are currently being focused on for developments. And so, and they're same purchase price. So
Okay.
in order to sell this property, you really have to find somebody who truly loves these historical properties, who really loves this location, because just anybody's not going to buy it. Um, but again, great area, and if it could rent, Century probably wouldn't even be selling it. But
Mhm.
it's a great one, but it's not really a great investment property.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, after the all-in price.
yeah, exactly. So that you could add that in there as you know, an area to stay away from, just because it's not renting,
Mhm.
and it's 3 at 107. That's Mississippi. That's a foreclosure. This one's a foreclosure as well. This one right here, this is also 38111. It's a
What I
nice
got?
property.
Yeah.
This one's currently rented for 995, and the lease actually ends at the end of this month. So perfect opportunity to come in, purchase the property, renovate it, and then rent it back out.
It was like a strange kind of property, strange lot.
Yeah, this one's funky. I'm not a big fan of it. I told the owner that it was fun. But yeah, anybody who can look past the funky look
Yeah.
could definitely make this one work.
So you're kinda like hitting the 1% rule,
Yeah.
more or less, right? Where the rent is, 1% of the purchase price.
Yeah. And then this one right here, 4401 Guildhall. That's 38128. Remember I was telling you about 38128 being a cash tenant area? Like
Mhm.
typically on something like this, if you put this in 38127 or 38114, it would rent to a section 8. But this one's cash, 1465 a month, cash
Yeah.
tenant, and it's a great property. It really is. So if you got anybody in your program that is interested in something like this, have a reach out. This one's a good one. Yeah, and this one at 1% rule. 686 Delta, that's a nice property as well. This one's just in 38109. It's a little bit harder to find somebody to sell to in 38109. And if we start dropping the price lower, then it becomes hard to finance. So
Yeah.
so
How
this
about
one's
the rental market on, 38109?
38109 is good. And with the right approach, marketing to the right tenants, this one could easily rent for $1,000 a month.
Mhm.
Maybe even get 1,100 if you got Section A. So, all right, and then let's see. It's actually not too far away from the one I told you I own in 38109. And then Trezevant, also a great area. This is in 38127. I got a client who's buying this one. This one's a BRRRR that he's going to, buy it, renovate it, refinance it. So, and it's actually got a really nice tenant in there now, paying 1,500, but the house is in bad shape. So that Section 8 voucher won't be active for very much longer.
Mhm. So
So
it took, I guess they probably really destroyed the house a little bit.
yeah, yeah, they destroyed it. So
They
there
got the house straight.
he's gonna buy it and do a delayed burst situation. He's gonna rent it out for 1,500 until their voucher expires, and then once they
Yeah.
out out, he's gonna renovate it. So
Mhm. And where are most of your investors from?
out of state, most of them are out of
Okay.
state,
What
and then
states?
yeah, New York, California is most common, and then I've got some investors actually from Canada, and then the guy that's actually buying that one, he actually lives in Spain. So I've
Mm.
got them all over the place.
Yeah.
And then this one right here, 2139 Lion Avenue. This is one of those locations that it's really going to take a special somebody to buy this property. Like they're really going to just have to really like this area.
But what about are you saying that what zip code is that? That is
That's 38108. And I don't ever send properties to any clients in 38108. I'm just not a big fan of it. I think that the investment returns are terrible. And it doesn't matter where you buy at in the zip code. It's really hard to make something work.
is that
And so
because tough tenancy or
yeah, it's just a hard time getting a tenant. Sometimes you can have vandalism. It's just one of those tough areas. And this one's built in 1936. So it's pretty old, and that'd be another reason why it's tell somebody, "Hey, don't come over here because it's really old." And then that one, you actually needs to be demoed. So somebody's gonna need to demolish this one. So this would work perfectly for an investor who is there are people building new construction in this area. So
really?
this yeah, and some
It doesn't sound like that from what you said. It sounds like
yeah. Well, it happens all over the place. And so there actually is new construction in the zip code, and they're selling around 165 to 175. But those are really experienced investors. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're renting once they build new construction, they're renting them out for like 1,700 a month. So they're getting
you're
1%.
saying ground up is costing around 160 to build?
No, I've seen some guys getting it done for much less than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Small houses, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, they're building new construction. So this is perfect for that kind of investor who wants to come in, demolish this property, and then do a ground up construction. So this would be perfect for that. But I don't recommend it to anybody who's in a course.
Yeah.
Definitely needs to be somebody much more experienced.
First of all, thank you for the tour, and it's great to see your properties. Basically two kinds of properties you have. Ones that are totally investor friendly, then ones that an investor bought and they're now flipping to an end user, homeowner.
Exactly.
That just sound really good.
Oh yeah.
How's the city to work with Memphis? What else can you tell us about Memphis? In terms of contractors, is there good management there? Because
Oh yeah.
management is everything.
Definitely. Now you definitely have to be careful the kind of manager you're getting, and then on top of that, I always tell people, even with the best property manager, manage the manager. So you want to make sure you're getting your rents every single month. If you're not getting rents, investigate why. We need to be asking questions. Hey, did the tenant stop paying the rent? Do you know why? Are you guys actively seeking the rent? Are you guys trying to get the tenant to pay the rent? Y'all charging late fees? I guess could this have been avoided? Is another question we can ask. If you start having expenses, why did those expenses happen? Could we have done something to instead of doing a band-aid fix, could we have spent a little bit more money and avoided this expense in the future? Because sometimes that happens. So just tons of things that you've got to do when you're working with a property manager. Even the best ones in Memphis, you got to manage the manager. But yeah, we do have great management in Memphis.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Jordan, they're interested in Memphis, what is the best way to reach out and start learning about the deals you have?
Yeah, so, two different ways they can call me, 662-642-1458. That's my office line. It goes straight to me. You can text me, and I'll get back to you. And I do that one just to make sure that I don't lose who's texting me. Once they become a client, then I usually will give out my cell phone number to clients. That way they can just contact me a little easier. But that is my work line. So contact me there first, or you can send me an email, jordan.ray@exprealty.com. And I'm pretty quick to respond to email as well, usually within a few hours to 24 hours at most.
Okay. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.